For years, Mendeecees and Yandy Smith-Harris stood as one of reality TV's most beloved couples, their love story celebrated as proof that loyalty could survive fame, distance, and hardship. Fans watched them grow from young dreamers into a power couple who built both a family and an empire together, inspiring millions with their devotion. Every red carpet appearance, every post, every public moment seemed to tell the same story. Two people who had beaten the odds and come out stronger. But behind that picture-perfect facade, cracks were quietly forming, cracks that no one noticed until it was too late. The same love that once united them had begun to fade beneath the pressures of business, fame, and the silent resentment that comes when communication dies. Whispers began circulating online, vague rumors of tension in the Harris household, of arguments behind closed doors, and of a coldness that couldn't be hidden forever. Still, fans refused to believe it. How could a couple who had survived so much suddenly be falling apart? Yet the truth was brewing, waiting for the moment it would finally explode into public view. Yandy, always the image of grace and control, had been throwing herself into her growing career, while Mendeecees, fresh from rebuilding his reputation after years of struggle, had begun to feel overlooked and invisible. To the outside world, they were glowing. Inside, they were unraveling. Friends close to them noticed the change. Fewer smiles, shorter conversations, and that unmistakable tension that creeps in when love turns to frustration. And then, just when everyone thought their bond was unbreakable, the first shocking report surfaced. There had been a fight, a confrontation, something serious enough to make even the most loyal fans pause. The rumor mill caught fire overnight. Claims of betrayal, of emotional outbursts, and accusations too heavy to ignore. For the first time in years, Mendeecees and Yandy were no longer the symbol of stability. They were the center of chaos. What had gone so wrong? Who had betrayed whom? And most importantly, could the couple who once defined love now survive the weight of suspicion and heartbreak? Because as the story unfolds, one thing becomes clear. This was not just a misunderstanding. This was the beginning of a storm that would expose secrets neither of them were ready to face. It was supposed to be an evening of joy, a quiet celebration surrounded by friends and family. But what began as a toast to Yandy's latest success soon turned into the night that shattered everything. The atmosphere inside their elegant home was warm at first. Soft music, laughter, and the clinking of glasses filled the air as everyone gathered to honor Yandy's newest business milestone. She glowed with pride, greeting her guests with that signature smile that had always made her seem untouchable. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. Mendeecees, usually her biggest supporter, sat apart from the crowd, scrolling through his phone, barely engaging. His silence didn't go unnoticed. Yandy's eyes darted toward him between conversations, searching for a sign that everything was okay. "You good, baby?" she asked gently, her tone more anxious than affectionate. Without looking up, he muttered, "I'm fine," but the edge in his voice said otherwise. The guests exchanged polite smiles, pretending not to notice the unease spreading like a shadow across the room. Yandy tried to brush it off, keeping the mood light, raising her glass to thank everyone for coming. But her husband's distant stare cut through her composure. It was a silence that spoke volumes, a silence heavy with everything that hadn't been said. Then, without warning, the moment snapped. The sound of glass hitting wood echoed like a gunshot as Mendeecees slammed his drink down on the table, startling everyone into stunned silence. "I'm tired, Yandy," he shouted, his voice trembling with anger and exhaustion. "I'm tired of pretending everything's perfect when it's not. You think this whole thing is about you, your business, your fame, your success. What about me? What about what I've been dealing with?" The room froze. Even the air felt still. Yandy's face drained of color as she tried to process his words, her heart pounding. "What are you talking about?" she whispered, her voice cracking with disbelief. But Mendeecees' anger only grew darker. He stood abruptly, knocking his chair to the floor as gasps filled the room. "You think I don't know what's been going on behind my back?" he spat. "You think I haven't seen the messages, heard the whispers?" Yandy's eyes filled with tears as confusion gave way to fear. Messages? Whispers? What are you talking about? She pleaded, but he was no longer listening. His voice broke somewhere between rage and heartbreak. You've been lying to me, Yandy, acting like I don't matter, like I'm invisible. His words struck her like blows. The woman who had built her brand on love and loyalty now stood accused of betrayal, and in front of everyone she loved. The guests sat frozen, unsure whether to intervene or slip away quietly. Her closest friend reached for her hand, but Yandy pulled back, her pride clashing with her pain. "Mendeecees, this isn't you," she said softly, fighting to hold her voice steady. "You're angry about something, but don't turn this into something it's not." He let out a bitter laugh. "You think I'm crazy? You think I don't see what's right in front of me?" His voice cracked again, this time with something deeper. Hurt, fear, the pain of a man who felt betrayed. Then, with one final look that cut deeper than any words, Mendeecees turned and stormed toward the door. The slam that followed shook the room, echoing like the sound of a relationship breaking apart. For a long, unbearable moment, no one spoke. Yandy stood frozen, staring at the door, her hands trembling as if her body couldn't comprehend what had just happened. The laughter that had filled the evening was gone, replaced by silence so heavy it pressed against every heart in the room. Her mother tried to comfort her, but Yandy could only whisper, "What just happened?" Her voice was small, fragile, and full of disbelief. Around her, guests whispered in confusion and pity. The perfect night had turned into a public unraveling. The love story that once inspired so many was now a spectacle of heartbreak. And as the door closed behind Mendeecees, Yandy knew deep down that this was only the beginning, that the cracks in their marriage had finally split open. And what lay ahead would expose truths she wasn't ready to face. In the days that followed the explosive dinner, the silence between Yandy and Mendeecees grew unbearable. Their home, once filled with laughter and the playful chaos of family life, now felt like a museum of memories, still, cold and echoing with everything left unsaid. Yandy spent most of her time locked away in her office, buried in work she could barely focus on, while Mendeecees came and went without a word, each passing like strangers under the same roof. Friends tried to reach out, but neither of them was ready to talk. Then came the day that everything boiled over, the confrontation that nobody saw coming. It was a gray afternoon, rain streaking down the windows as Yandy sat at the kitchen table scrolling through her phone, lost in thought. That's when Mendeecees walked in, holding something in his hand, his expression unreadable, his energy tense. "We need to talk," he said flatly, his voice calm in a way that only made Yandy's stomach twist tighter. She looked up, cautious. "About what?" she asked, though deep down she already sensed where this was going. He tossed his phone on the table and it slid toward her. On the screen were screenshots, messages, photos, comments, all pieced together from gossip blogs, anonymous DMs, and social media posts. "Care to explain this?" he said quietly, but his eyes burned. Yandy's heart dropped as she scrolled through the mess of accusations. Rumors that she'd been too close to one of her business partners. Private photos taken out of context. Whispers suggesting emotional infidelity. "This is garbage!" she snapped, shoving the phone back toward him. "You're really believing this nonsense?" But Mendeecees didn't flinch. "It's not just online rumors, Yandy. People are talking. I've had people come up to me, people we both know, saying there's more going on than business between you two." His voice cracked with restrained anger. Yandy stood, shaking her head. "That's ridiculous. You know me better than that. I've worked too hard for everything we've built to throw it away like that." But instead of calming him, her words seemed to fuel his resentment. "Worked too hard?" he shot back. "You've been working so hard you forgot you had a husband. You've been out here building empires while I'm trying to keep our family together. You don't see it, Yandy, but you've left me behind." His voice trembled, not from rage but from heartbreak, the sound of a man who'd been holding his pain in for far too long. Yandy's eyes welled with tears, her voice barely a whisper. "Left you behind? I did all of this for us, for our kids, for our future." But Mendeecees shook his head, stepping closer. "No, you did it for you, because you needed to be the strong one. the savior, the perfect image for the world to see. Meanwhile, I'm just the man standing next to you, a prop in your story." His words hit her harder than any accusation could. For a moment, Yandy couldn't speak. She felt her throat tighten, her mind flashing back to the years she'd spent holding it all together while he was away. The late nights, the sacrifices, the loneliness she never spoke about. "You think I wanted that?" she finally said, her voice trembling. "You think I liked being the one who had to stay strong? You weren't there, Mendeecees. I had to hold everything down while you were gone. I didn't do that to make you small. I did it to keep us alive." Her honesty cracked something in him. The anger in his eyes softened, but only for a moment. "Then why does it feel like you don't need me anymore?" he asked, the words heavy with vulnerability. The silence that followed was suffocating. Two people who had once known every corner of each other's hearts now stood worlds apart, separated by pride, pain, and unspoken fears. Finally, Yandy whispered, "I do need you, but I can't keep proving my loyalty every time someone starts a rumor." Mendeecees turned away, staring out the rain-soaked window, his reflection blurred by the glass. "Maybe the problem isn't the rumors," he said quietly. "Maybe it's that we've both become different people trying to live in the same story." His words lingered like smoke, haunting and true. Neither spoke again as the rain poured harder, washing against the windows like the tears they refused to shed. That confrontation didn't end with shouting. It ended with silence, the kind that says everything. Because in that moment, both Yandy and Mendeecees knew something had broken beyond repair, and no amount of love, loyalty, or public image could easily fix it. Just when the tension between Yandy and Mendeecees seemed to reach its quiet breaking point, the situation exploded in the most unexpected way. A leaked phone call that turned their private pain into public chaos. Late one evening, social media lit up like wildfire after an anonymous account posted an audio clip allegedly featuring Mendeecees venting to a close friend. In the clip, his voice was unmistakable, weary, frustrated, and raw. He spoke about feeling played, about seeing receipts, and about not being sure if Yandy ever really loved him or just loved the image they built. Within hours, the clip spread across blogs, gossip pages, and YouTube channels, dissected line by line as fans and critics rushed to take sides. Hashtags like Yandy exposed and Mendeecees meltdown trended for days. Yandy, blindsided, woke up to hundreds of calls, messages, and headlines questioning her integrity. Her PR team scrambled to control the damage, but the internet had already decided. This was war. Sitting alone in her living room, Yandy listened to the call in disbelief, tears filling her eyes as she heard the man she once called her soulmate speak about her like a stranger. It wasn't just the betrayal of the words. It was knowing the world was now hearing the most vulnerable parts of their marriage. Mendeecees, meanwhile, claimed he didn't leak the call and felt set up, insisting he'd just been venting privately, never meant for it to go public. But by then, the damage was done. Their love story had officially become front-page gossip, dissected, analyzed, and twisted beyond recognition. For the first time, Yandy realized this wasn't just about a fight or a misunderstanding. It was about survival, reputation, and the painful reality that love, once public, can never truly be private again. Just when the internet began to cool down from the leaked call scandal, Tasha K reignited the flames with a revelation that no one saw coming. In a fiery live stream that instantly went viral, the outspoken blogger claimed to have exclusive receipts, evidence that could completely rewrite the narrative surrounding Yandy and Mendeecees' marriage. Sitting confidently in front of her camera, Tasha teased the audience with screenshots, text messages, and what she called undeniable DNA proof linked to an alleged secret that Mendeecees had been hiding for years. "Everybody been focused on Yandy," she said with a smirk, "but y'all ain't ready for what I got on him." Within minutes, the clip spread across every social platform, with fans flooding the comments, demanding answers. Was Mendeecees hiding another child? Had Yandy known all along? Or was this another case of misinformation tearing down a Black Power couple? As the speculation grew, Yandy's silence became louder than words, while Mendeecees appeared visibly shaken in a short Instagram live, denying everything but offering little explanation. "Y'all need to stop believing lies," he said, his tone defensive, his eyes weary. But Tasha K wasn't backing down. She doubled down, promising to release the full receipts by the end of the week. The media frenzy that followed was relentless, dragging every part of Yandy and Mendeecees' past back into the spotlight. Their business dealings, old legal troubles, even family relationships. Friends urged them to go offline, but the damage was already spreading faster than either could contain. For fans who once admired their strength, this was devastating. For critics, it was vindication. And as Tasha's claims echoed across the internet, one question dominated every headline. Was this the final nail in the coffin for Yandy and Mendeecees' once-unbreakable love story? When Tasha K finally released the so-called receipts, the internet collectively froze. Screens across the world lit up with a headline that felt like a bomb dropped right in the middle of Yandy and Mendeecees' already crumbling marriage. DNA results allegedly proving Mendeecees fathered a child outside their relationship. The video began with Tasha's signature dramatic flair, papers in hand, voice sharp and confident as she laid out the details step by step. She claimed the child was nearly 4 years old, born while Mendeecees and Yandy were supposedly working on rebuilding their marriage after his release. "The receipts don't lie," Tasha said, flashing what appeared to be lab documents on screen. Within minutes, the clip went viral, pulling millions of views and thousands of comments dissecting every frame. Some fans refused to believe it, calling it another publicity stunt. Others were heartbroken, convinced that Yandy's silence meant the rumors were true. Meanwhile, Mendeecees' team scrambled to respond, releasing a brief statement calling the documents fabricated and defamatory, but the damage was done. The story spread like wildfire across gossip blogs, radio shows, and YouTube comment sections, each one adding its own spin. Yandy, usually composed and eloquent, broke her silence with a simple, heart-wrenching Instagram post. Sometimes silence isn't weakness, it's survival. The cryptic message sent shockwaves, leaving fans to wonder whether she was confirming or denying the allegations. Behind the scenes, sources close to the couple claimed Yandy was devastated, blindsided by the news and struggling to protect her children from the chaos. What was once a private betrayal had become a global spectacle. And as the world speculated over the truth, one thing became painfully clear. Even if the DNA story was a lie, the trust that once held their marriage together was now hanging by a thread. After days of mounting pressure, endless speculation, and sleepless nights, Yandy finally broke her silence, and when she did, the world stopped to listen. Sitting alone in a dimly lit room, she went live on Instagram, her eyes tired but fierce, her voice steady despite the storm around her. There were no glam filters, no perfect lighting, just raw emotion and truth. "I've been quiet," she began, pausing as tears welled up in her eyes. "Not because I'm weak, not because I'm guilty, but because I needed time to process how quickly love can turn into public entertainment." Her words pierced through the noise. She spoke of betrayal, not just from the rumors, but from those she trusted most. Without confirming or denying the DNA claims directly, Yandy made it clear that she was done being painted as a villain or a fool. "I have stood by my husband through things the world will never understand," she said, her voice breaking. "But there comes a point where strength starts to look like suffering, and I refuse to suffer in silence anymore." Fans flooded the comments with support, hailing her for her grace and vulnerability, while others speculated that her tone carried the weight of truth she couldn't yet speak aloud. "I will always love Mendeecees," she added softly, "but love without respect is just pain dressed up as loyalty." The live ended without drama, just quiet tears and the haunting feeling that something beautiful had truly ended. Within hours, her speech was reposted by every major blog and celebrity page, sparking a wave of empathy and renewed debate. In that one vulnerable moment, Yandy reclaimed her voice, not as a reality star, not as a wife, but as a woman finally choosing herself over the illusion of a perfect love? Not long after Yandy's emotional livestream, Mendeecees decided it was his turn to speak, and his response only deepened the public's fascination. Sitting in his car, camera angled low, his face half hidden beneath a hoodie, he went live to address the storm that had swallowed their marriage. His tone was calm but heavy, every word weighted with frustration and exhaustion. "I didn't plan to say anything," he began, glancing at the screen. "But y'all turning my life into a circus." He denied Tasha K's DNA claims outright, calling them lies meant to destroy families, and insisted that no child existed outside his marriage. But beneath the denial was a quiet pain that fans couldn't ignore. "I love my wife," he said, his voice cracking. "But love don't always fix everything. Sometimes two people just outgrow each other, and that's the hardest truth." He spoke of years of misunderstanding, of feeling unseen and unloved, of trying to rebuild a bond that fame and distance had slowly eroded. People think because they see pictures and smiles, they know what's real. But they don't see the nights we didn't speak. They don't see the hurt behind the cameras. His honesty resonated deeply, but his refusal to directly mention Yandy's live stream left fans torn. Was this an attempt to protect her or avoid accountability? "Whatever happens next," he added quietly, "I just want peace. For me, for her, for the kids." As the live ended, thousands flooded the comments, some offering prayers, others accusing him of damage control. For the first time, Mendeecees didn't look like the confident man from television. He looked broken, burdened by love and regret, and though he'd spoken his truth, it was clear that words alone couldn't repair what had already been lost between them. In the days following both Yandy and Mendeecees' public statements, the internet became a battlefield, fans, influencers, and even former friends choosing sides in what had become one of the most explosive reality TV breakups in years. Team Yandy praised her strength, calling her a queen for standing tall through humiliation, while Team Mendeecees argued that he was a man unfairly dragged through social media's court of opinion. Every interview, every old clip from Love and Hip Hop, every past argument was pulled from the archives and reanalyzed for hidden clues. Podcasts debated whether their love had ever been real or just a storyline that outgrew itself. Even celebrities chimed in, some offering prayers, others throwing subtle shade that only fueled the drama further. Meanwhile, Yandy tried to stay focused on her children and her businesses, posting motivational quotes about healing and self-worth, though her eyes in recent photos told a story of quiet heartbreak. Mendeecees, on the other hand, seemed lost in reflection, often posting cryptic messages about growth, forgiveness, and learning when to let go. Behind the scenes, insiders whispered that the couple had quietly separated, though neither confirmed it publicly. Family members were reportedly urging them to handle things privately, but the damage was already too public, too viral to contain. What had once been a powerful image of unity and resilience had now splintered into distrust and distance. Fans who once rooted for their love now watched helplessly as it dissolved in real time. The fallout wasn't just emotional, it was cultural, symbolic of how social media can turn real love into a spectacle. And as both sides retreated into silence, the world was left wondering, had fame destroyed their marriage? Or had it simply revealed the cracks that were always there? Months later, the chaos had finally quieted, but the echoes of Yandy and Mendeecees' downfall lingered like a haunting melody the internet couldn't quite forget. Both had moved on publicly, not into new relationships, but into new versions of themselves. Yandy, now fully immersed in her activism and business ventures, began speaking openly about healing, forgiveness, and the price of loving someone in the spotlight. Her interviews were raw yet empowering, reflecting a woman who had turned pain into purpose. "Sometimes love isn't meant to last forever," she said softly during one podcast. "Sometimes it's meant to teach you how to love yourself better." Meanwhile, Mendeecees seemed to withdraw from the limelight, choosing peace and introspection over the noise. He focused on his children, posting videos of fatherhood moments that showed a quieter, more grounded man. one trying to rebuild trust, if not with Yandy, then with himself. The fans who once fed on their drama now watched with a bittersweet admiration, realizing that even the strongest love stories can unravel under the weight of fame, ego, and human imperfection. Though they never publicly confirmed a divorce, the emotional distance between them spoke volumes. Two souls who had shared everything now walking separate paths, bound only by their past and their children. In the end, the story of Yandy and Mendeecees became more than just tabloid gossip. It was a mirror held up to anyone who's ever loved deeply and lost painfully. It reminded the world that behind every glamorous photo and viral headline lies a truth. That real love isn't always pretty, that loyalty can break under pressure, and that sometimes the greatest act of love is knowing when to let go and finally choose peace over pain.